Hello there and welcome back to the Play Free Later Gaming channel. Today I'm going to be giving you the first in a series which I would like to call the 9-minute guides, right? This game, as great and as fun as it is, takes a lot of time, and you shouldn't be spending 20 or 30 minutes just looking at one champion to figure out how to best use them, because you're already spending so much time in game. You don't have that. You just don't have the time, right? So the 9-minute guide. Why 9 minutes? Because nine almost rhymes with guide, right? But 5 minutes was too short. So that's what you get, the 9-minute guide. And today that guide's going to be spent on one of my favorite champions of the game, Ninja. So about a year ago, Ninja was added as one of those free login reward champions, right? You just come in, you just log in for 7 days, and you get him. It was great, right? He has a great design. It was one of the first collabs they ever did with a streamer. My guess is to bring in new players and involvement for the game. And honestly, great decision. He's got a great kit. He's a ton of fun. One of the better decisions Playroom's made in the recent past and probably future, right? You see, he's got almost 68,000 reviews. Means a lot of people have built him. A lot of people are using him, partially because a lot of people have him, but partially because he's actually worth building, which we'll get into. So this guide is going to be split up into 4 parts. I'm going to let you know what his kit's about, how to best build him, where I think he excels the most, and then finally sort of an overall summary or rating, which, a little spoiler alert by the way that I've been talking about him, he is great, and I would definitely recommend that you build him. So yeah, let's take a look at this a little bit. In the Shadowkin faction, one of the first champions added when the faction was, added to the game, which was a long time ago, but it feels like it was recent. Legendary attack champion, Magic Affinity. Very solid base stats. He's got enough HP and defense where it's not like, ooh, he's got none. Solid attack, 1500. Good speed. As much crit damage as you can get. As a base stat, 63%. And a little bit of accuracy at the bottom. Solid base stats. So let's start taking a look at his kit. On the A1, 60% chance when booked of placing a decreased defense. This is a consistent enough number that if you need a single target decreased defense for a boss encounter, and that's pretty much it. For something where there's one enemy, this is going to do the job for you. It's about as good as you get on an A1, right? So he's not going to be providing the AoE decreased defense for wave content. You're going to need someone else to bring that, but this is a little bit of added so that when you get to the boss, it can be applied quickly and stay on. It's consistent enough. Additionally, at the bottom, fills his turn meter by 15% when used against bosses, which when the first time you read that, you're like, yes, nice. He's getting his own little turn meter boost, which just, fills his turn meter up a little bit of time. He's getting his abilities faster. Great. No. I mean, it is great, but it makes him a little bit challenging when speed tuning. For example, in Clan Boss, spoiler alert, which is somewhere that I regularly use him in a speed-tuned unkillable team, and where I think one of the places he excels the most, you're going to need to build your teams around this, because this little extra turn meter boost will throw off your whole sync. So it makes it slightly harder to build the teams, because they need to go at a speed or 2 faster to compensate for this. So it can be done, but you just need to work everything around it. And luckily, people have recognized that he's so good that they've created several teams that go around this extra turn meter fill. So you'll have plenty of resources out there to figure out how to build it for yourself. On the A2, this is his money skill, right? This is where things get good. He's got a 3-hitter. It isn't random, but it's triple hitter. Each time places an HP burn and instantly activates it. So it's one of the best ways to get damage on a boss or a single target in the whole game, right? I'm thinking besides just big hits, besides poison explosion, and besides like an enemy max HP smack, like this is it. This sort of skill where you instantly activate the burns that you're placing. Just big bursts of damage. Really, really nice for bosses. Additionally, places a perfect veil on him for 2 turns, which doesn't sound like much, but it protects him a little bit from being targeted and a little bit from AoE damage, but sort of an added bonus is that if you take him into Hydra, which he is good there, if you run up against the Fear Head, you actually won't have to worry about him getting feared because he brings his own perfect veil that is on him for the vast majority of the fight, so he's never really going to get feared, so it's just an added bonus in that area of content where veils are very nice to have. And then finally looking at the A3, the A3 is really nice because it has sort of a dual effect. If you're attacking a normal enemy, it's an AoE with a 100% chance to place a freeze, which is really nice. It hits hard, good crowd control. However, when you're targeting a boss, it becomes a single target hit that ignores 50% of the target's defense and decreases the cooldown of his Hailburn, his A2, by 1 turn. This is something that I wish they would add more. It makes it so that there's sometimes champions, one that pops in mind is Scylla the Drakes, right? She's got this great double hit AoE for stun, which is great for the waves, but as soon as you get to the boss, it's a useless ability. This sort of has like a, two uses, where if you use it in this place, it does this thing, and if you use it in this place, it does another thing. And so it tailors it for wherever you are in the, piece of content that you're at, and just makes it that this skill is never wasted, which is really nice. So ignores 50% of the target's defense when attacking a boss. That might sound like it's just gonna, rock the boss's world. Unfortunately, it doesn't hit quite as hard as you'd think. Decent, but nothing crazy. What is really important, though, is that it decreases the A2, which brings it from a 3-turn to essentially a 2-turn cooldown, and lets you cycle through that very quickly. And then the passive, most champions these days have them. They're either really good, kind of good, or useless, which, I mean, those categories are almost meaningless, but in this case, the passive is really, really good. Over time, as I mentioned, he is a boss killer, so you're going to be stuck with the boss. You normally don't clean up a boss in a turn or two. You're going to be there for a little bit, especially if it's Clan Boss or Hydra. Every time he uses one of any of his abilities on the same enemy, he sort of ramps up his own attack and his own crit damage, which just makes him hit harder and harder over time. So there's long, extended fights. It lets you get away with having a little bit less stats, and it boosts whatever stats you have as you keep going. Ooh, pop out the index. Let's check out. So I just sort of gave you a broad overview. Now let's hone in on how I would build him, and then how these pieces fit together to show where he excels. So here's my ninja right at the top of my account, because I've got a blessing on a 1-star. I'm a real big spender. So I have him here in Relentless Gear. I think that this is the best gear set that you can put on him, because the whole point is that he gets to his abilities and you just cycle through as quickly as possible, get back to that A2 for those big bursts of damage, rinse and repeat. It's what he's good at. So give him the best damage gear on your account. I have mine specifically at 218 speed to be speed tuned for my clan boss team. So I hit the speed. I need the 300 accuracy to land his HP burns. That's kind of important. And then I wanted, I couldn't quite get him to 100% crit rate just with the gear I have, but ideally you get him to crit rate 100%. And once you do those 3 things, then you can start stacking on the attack and the crit damage. So the attack and the crit damage, the attack especially, is nothing crazy, but it does definitely get the job done, because like I said, he increases them over time. So it sort of fills in the gaps where you're missing the stats. Right? I've got him in Brimstone. He's a boss killer. That's like one of the best boss killer blessings. That's what I recommend. And then Masteries, standard clan boss setup. If you want to see how mine was built, of course, you can build yours any way you want. And so because of that, one of the things that I really like is that he's good anywhere. But here are the places that he excels. In dungeons, I haven't messed around with Sand Devils too much because it's kind of hard, but I've seen really good things. He's good in any of the dungeons, right? Anywhere there's a big boss. Campaign, there's not really bosses. For example, I use him in my fastest stage 20 team, which is running at 48 seconds on the quicker end, right? He's right there. And then the clan bosses, right? So the dungeon's really good. Faction Wars, he's a legendary. Any Lego you get is going to be pretty much an instant carry. And he is good because he brings the big crowd control and damage on the waves, as well as damage for the boss. And for the same reasons as dungeons, he's good in Doom Tower. I would stay away with Arena. I would stay away with Arena. If you are going to use him, actually watch out, because he prioritizes his A2 and you probably want him to use his A3. But best places use his clan boss for sure. Here he is in my 1-key unkillable team on all affinities. He's doing at least 50 mil damage, no matter the affinity. There you go. Because his kit just works so well. And for the same reason, I haven't done Hydra yet, but he also is my big Hydra damage dealer. And there we are, 9 minutes. Am I running a little behind? Kind of. Do I care? Not really. I don't know. It's good information, in my opinion. So what would I give Ninja? Ninja, for me, is an easy S tier. Whatever you want to tier it up, I'd say S tier. He's definitely not like top 10 champions or anything, but especially because of his accessibility for a lot of players. He's both, which is really rare, he's both good in a lot of content as sort of a general damage dealer for bosses, because you always need one of those, and he excels in a specific place of the game, that being, in my opinion, is sort of a clan boss unkillable damage dealer, which means that he's really good for an early mid-game player who's trying to use him to progress through their account, and he doesn't just get tossed to the side once you're in endgame, because he actually is one of the best damage dealers at the top highest level. He's pretty much seen in all not all unkillable teams, right? There's other contenders, right? Draco, Turvold, but really, in terms of accessibility, especially, he's number one. And so I think that is going to do it. All that needs to be said. I hope it helped a little bit, right? Hope it helped. Please leave a comment if you want to see any other champions. Yeah, I have a little bit of an account here. Nothing crazy. Just a little bit of gold to get me through the days. So leave me a comment if you want a specific champion reviewed. I'm going to be doing more of these because I enjoy them, I guess. Only do things you enjoy. I enjoy them. So you'll see a couple more pop up every now and then. And I think that's going to do it. Take care. See you next time.